Does that put you in the mind for sleeping? Because the clocks go forward tonight. If you've got a busy weekend, you may already be worrying about losing an hour's sleep. I'm just totting up the number of clocks that I've got to change around the house. The oven is definitely going to miss it, and so is the car one, because that doesn't alter itself. And the clock radios. Do you still have a clock radio? I do. And they have to be altered, old-fashioned way, like wind-up. Circadian rhythms, apparently, is what affects the physical, mental and behavioural changes we experience over 24 hours. So even 1 hour's sleep makes a difference. And most of those things are impacted by the clocks going forward. So what's happening and how can we deal with it? I'm delighted to say we have an expert. We've woken her up specially. Dr. Lindsay Browning is a sleep expert and psychologist and joins me now. I know you've had a high-carb breakfast to keep you awake, my lovely. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. It's a good day to think about sleep. It's very topical, so that's good.
Yes. Tell me more about these circadian rhythms, because we hear about them often we do a big question every week, and often the circadian rhythms come up. Tell me more about them and why they are so important for our health.
Well, lots of people won't really think about it, but our body has its own clock. So every single minute of the day, our body kind of knows what time it is, and it produces digestive enzymes at breakfast time, at lunchtime, and in the evening, and it produces certain hormones. We secrete melatonin, which is our sleep timing hormone, at nighttime when it's time for sleep. So our body knows what time it is without needing to look at a clock. And people might have experienced jet lag if they've gone to another country, and that's when your body is still thinking it's in the original time zone. So tonight, the clocks go forward by an hour, which is only 1 hour, but our bodies tomorrow won't realise that. So they'll be still functioning sort of an hour different. So what we might want to do is to make some changes to help our body adjust to that 1 hour. And what's really interesting is that the 1 hour that we might lose the hour's sleep, it actually does result in a significant, measurable increase in road traffic accidents and heart attacks in the day after the spring clock change.
It's so interesting you say that, because the next day, after clocks go forward or back, I feel really disorientated. It's a very strange feeling. You almost keep checking your clock thinking, time doesn't feel right. Time doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And you're saying this is all to do with these very special rhythms that operate in our bodies.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's very natural. It's amazing. So tonight, if you don't go to bed a little bit earlier, or you aren't allowed to sleep in tomorrow, you'll lose an hour's sleep. And of course, that hour, our bodies need enough sleep for us to feel rested and happy and function well. But also we have to adapt tomorrow to that change in that time zone, basically that 1 hour time difference. So you might find yourself tomorrow feeling hungry a little bit later than you expect, or a little bit earlier. You might find yourself just being a bit, like you said, disorientated. So the key things to do are tomorrow morning and in the days following the clock change, get outside early to get some natural daylight, because that is the best way of helping our circadian rhythm, our body, to adjust to the new time. So getting that bright sunshine in the morning helps you to wake up at the time you need to, waking up a little bit earlier, go to sleep earlier, and everything will feel a lot better.
So actually expose our bodies to the light that's natural, and that will help it adjust a bit quicker. Is that sort
absolutely.
of how it goes?
If you can go outside even for a cup of coffee in the morning before you go to work, that would be fantastic. Open those curtains as soon as you wake up. Get as much bright daylight as you possibly can all day, but especially first thing in the morning.
And how do we best adjust to that clock change? Is it a case of tomorrow we've got to make a difference, we've got to go to bed earlier tonight, get up early tomorrow, get out in the daylight? Is that the sort of like the foolproof way of dealing with it?
Yeah, so what I would say is if you have a clock, your phone is your clock, then it will automatically adjust overnight tonight. So you don't have to worry about, unlike your car radio, you might have to change that, but you don't have to change your phone.
Start, honestly.
So
just too much
tonight,
faffing around.
I know, it is. It is, but your phone should be good. So tonight, go to bed about maybe half an hour earlier than normal, and then set your wake alarm for half an hour later than you usually would, if possible. And that means you won't experience a 1 hour time loss in your sleep, because you'll absorb that by going to bed an hour earlier and setting your wake alarm for half an hour earlier going to bed, set your wake alarm for half an hour later. And then that half an hour difference will not make a lot of difference to your day tomorrow. You'll absorb that hour, you won't have lost that hour's sleep, and tomorrow you can just start to adjust. And we can adjust to that hour time difference. It'll take a day or two, but You don't have to panic. Just get that bright sunshine first thing in the morning and enjoy the longer evenings, because we'll be able to go outside and socialise and get more exercise.
Well, enjoy the
potentially
sunshine, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just lovely. Summer. I mean, I'm very much a summer person. I don't particularly like winter. It makes me just fed up. But it's so nice to see blossom on the trees and all those lovely optimistic things that we're enjoying at the moment. But there are a lot of people listening, I would imagine, who probably struggle to sleep. And I know as you get older, perhaps you need a little bit less sleep. I know my nan hardly used to sleep. She used to say, don't need it. I sleep for a couple of hours. That's all I need. And then she got up at really, really early in the morning, even as a 85-year-old. How can we encourage a better sleep pattern if we're struggling? I know that it's best to have nothing on your mind, but let's face it, we're all worrying about all sorts of things. How can we just get a better night's sleep?
Sure, if you do go to bed and your mind is worrying, you've got all these worries and thoughts on your mind, a really great tip is to spend some time earlier in the day, maybe a couple of hours before bed. Just get yourself a piece of paper and a pen and just write down anything that's on your mind. Just spend 15 minutes deliberately worrying, because then when you get into bed, and it sounds crazy. Yeah, exactly. But it sounds crazy, but there is so much science and evidence to show that if you do this, it helps your brain to get rid of those thoughts during the day, so it's not saving them all up for when you lie down in the middle of the night.
What a brilliant idea. So actually schedule into your day a period of time where you can get it off your chest and just say, this is what I'm worried about. Da, 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 da. Maybe even write it down, I guess. People often say, scribble it down on a bit of paper, and then you've taken it out of your head and onto a piece of paper.
Exactly. You might think it sounds funny, but it really, really works. Honestly,
and then when you get to bed, if you can't sleep when you get to bed, should you just get up, or should you stay there languishing and worrying about not being able to sleep?
Sure. So we don't expect ourselves to fall asleep instantly. So you've got to give yourself a bit of time to fall asleep, and maybe in that time when you're trying to fall asleep, you might want to do some slow, deep breathing or some kind of distraction exercise like cognitive shuffling or counting backwards from 1,007, something for a little bit of time to see if sleep happens. But if it doesn't, then like you said, just lying in bed, languishing, trying to force sleep is actually really unhelpful. So if you've been lying in bed and you've been struggling to sleep and you're feeling frustrated, then get up out of bed and go ideally to another room and go and read a book for a little bit. Maybe do a jigsaw, maybe colour a picture, maybe sort your cupboards out. Just do something to occupy you for a little while, and then you can go back to bed having reset and sort of restarted that process. Because if you just stay in bed trying to force sleep, all that happens is you get more and more frustrated, more and more annoyed. And of course, if we're frustrated and annoyed, we're not relaxed. We can't sleep. And we're not going to sleep. Exactly. 1007,
1006, 1005. Dr. Lindsay, I'm going. Dr. Lindsay Browning, you are absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. So there you go. Distract yourself and go to bed half hour early tonight. Get up half an hour later and you'll feel better tomorrow.